Movie Ninja! Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video of Super Movie Ninja! And, well, if you see my community tab yesterday, then you'd know that I tried to make a review of Aquaman The Lost Kingdom, but it did not work out. But guess what? Today's video is a tier ranking of every 2023 movie I've seen ranked in a tier ranking. And that means that you will hear my thoughts on Aquaman The Lost Kingdom, movies that I've already reviewed and stuff. And even if I did review them, they're still going to be in this because this is just a video. This is a nice just roundup of the year because today is New Year's Eve and tomorrow's New Year's Day. So tomorrow we're in a whole new year. Tomorrow is January 1st, 2024. And, well, we're probably going to be remembering the movies of 2023 and 2024. So, that means let's remember them and give them a tier ranking. So, but before I do, have a happy New Year's, everyone. Make sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notifications bell so you never miss a video. Without further ado, let's listen to me talk about movies way too much for a really long time. Alright, so we have the S tier, which is the best of the best, no beating these movies. Then we have the A tier, which are great movies, definitely must-watches. Then we have B tier, where it's like, it's a good time. It has some flaws, but it's a really good time, and it's enjoyable, and still a good movie. Then there's the C tier, which is just mid. Not really much you could say that's bad about, but not really anything at all you could say that's good about. It's just so mid. And then D tier is like, oh, that movie's so bad, so bland, there's just nothing about I like. But it does have some saving graces that don't make it F tier. And then F tier. This movie's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Everything wrong with movies is in this movie. So, these are in no particular order. So, the first movie we have on this list is Aquaman The Lost Kingdom. The one I never got to review. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this right on in S tier. And what I loved about this movie for me is that it just struck that perfect balance between seriousness and the lighthearted comedic tone of the first one. And I just found this as a fun watch that I know a lot of people are trashing on this movie right now, but I don't see this movie as a part of the DCEU. By the way, for those who do not know what the DCEU is the DC Extended Universe. It was when DC tried to make their own cinematic universe like Marvel, but you can't really blame them. All companies are trying to do that at the time because they all want the money that Marvel is making with all those billion-dollar movies and stuff. So, I mean, I don't blame them for trying to make a cinematic universe, but like I said, I don't see this as part of the DCU. I just see it as a fun sequel to the first Aquaman that I think improves on the first one in every single way. And I personally think it's a great movie, and for me, S tier. Also, this is not a podcast video. I would prefer if you actually watch this video, since you do need to properly see where all of the placements are for each movie in each tier. You don't have to actually watch it, and you can use it as a podcast video, but I'd prefer if you don't use it as a podcast video and actually watch it. Then we got Barbie. F tier. Now, if you've seen my review on Barbie, you know that this movie just really messed me up. This movie it really depressed me, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but it just really messed me up, and I definitely don't recommend you see the Barbie movie if you want to have a happy day. So, not going to go too much into that one, but terrible movie in my opinion. Then we got Godzilla Minus One. Actually, before I get into that, I just realized we went from one S tier movie all the way down to an F tier movie. That's some drastic jumping there. And then we got Godzilla Minus One. And do I need any introduction with this movie? This movie is definitely S tier for me. I just realized I never even actually reviewed this movie yet. So I will review it, but maybe I don't need to if you guys just watch this video. But I probably am still going to review this movie individually. But just to summarize some of my quick thoughts right now, Godzilla Minus One is definitely S tier for me. And what I loved about this movie is that it's just a great ride. And what a lot of people don't realize though about Godzilla movies is it's not about the monster. It's about the monster's effect on the people where the monster is. And this movie really gave a compelling human storyline along with the Godzilla monster storyline. And it's a great human storyline because the human storyline isn't its own. The human storyline ties in with the monster storyline, making everything with the humans important to the monster story. So, really great movie, action-packed with Godzilla action, and just a really great story, very well done movie. And how does this movie have better CGI than most Hollywood films coming out? This movie only had like a $15 million budget. $200 million movie budgets can't look better than this? Hollywood must be doing something wrong. Then we got The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is definitely an F tier. I actually will say it's worse than Barbie. And same thing that I said with Barbie. The movie just messed me up and really depressed me, and this one had longer lasting effects with that lasted longer for me than what Barbie ever did. So, not going to go too much into that, but I just definitely don't recommend it. Then we got Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. As a quick note, these movies on this list do not have to be movies I've seen and the movie fears. They just have to be movies that were released in 2023 and I saw. Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget was not released in movie fears. It was released on Netflix, but it was released in 2023, making it a movie that does make the final cut. So, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, I actually found this to be better than the first. I actually found it funnier, and it takes things from the first and incorporates them into this movie, making it definitely feel like a sequel and not a spin-off. So, therefore, I give it an A tier. I think it was one of the better animated movies of the year. Actually, I'm really sad it was never released in theaters and just straight to Netflix, because I think this movie would have been great. And I think it would have done pretty well at the box office, as from what I remember, people really liked the original Chicken Run. We got Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, I give it an A tier. Definitely better than Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, that's for sure. The reason why I don't give Killers of the Flower Moon a S tier is, for me, S tier is just great all around. Great story, great action, and really just everything in a while of a movie is in S tier. And Killers of the Flower Moon is a very great movie. very well done. Martin Scorsese's work on this movie is just amazing. And it's just a really compelling movie, and I never get bored of it. Besides being 3 hours and 30 minutes, I do start feeling a little antsy saying they're 3 hours and 30 minutes, but never got actually bored of the movie, and I just found it to be really compelling. I definitely recommend this movie. Like I said, A tier, just great movie all around, and I definitely recommend it. And I definitely recommend Killers of the Flower Moon. Then we got Oppenheimer, our first C tier movie, and I think Oppenheimer is a very well made movie all around. Christopher Nolan is a very capable director, obviously making the best comic book film ever, probably, which is The Dark Knight. And well, that's just an opinion that it's the best comic book movie ever, a comic book film ever, but I think it's the best comic book movie ever. And he's done other movies and stuff, and he's obviously a really capable director. And you see that. The movie is very well done. Cillian Murphy definitely has a great performance in this movie, and not only does he have a great performance in this movie, but there are certain shots that are very well directed, especially the atomic bomb scene, but it is very boring. Yada. Is it boring? 3 hours of boringness, and you don't even get to the atomic bomb. So towards the end is way longer than it needs to be. At most, maybe it should be 2 hours and 25 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes. I say 2 hours and 25 minutes because I don't even think it has enough to justify a full 2 hours and 30 minutes. But I think it's a C tier. Nothing really all that special to me. I see why some people do really enjoy it though. And I guess it's good enough. Then we got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. For me, this is definitely an S tier. I'm probably going to put it in between the Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, and Godzilla -1. And I understand people don't really love Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. But for me, it's actually my second favorite Indiana Jones film. So for me, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull didn't really end the franchise and really left too many open possibilities of his son and all of that. There was just too many open possibilities. They definitely needed a fifth one to close everything out. And I thought this was a great conclusion. The fourth one should have been the conclusion. Actually, the third one should have been the conclusion. The fourth one's technically the weakest, in my opinion. So the third one should have been the conclusion. They should have never made the fourth one, making this one that should have never been made. Well, now this one had to be made since the fourth one was made. But the fourth one should have never been made because the third one actually... The third Indiana Jones film was actually the perfect conclusion to one of the most perfect trilogies. And then we got the fourth one, which is not good compared to the first three. And then we needed a fifth one, because that opened up way too many things. So we finally got this, and this finally closed this out. Luckily, there will be no more Indiana Jones films, because Harrison Ford is now way too old at this point. And so, I thought this was great though. It's my second favorite because it did finally conclude this franchise in a very great way. Like I said, the third one should have been the conclusion. This was good enough as a conclusion to now a franchise that should have never been a franchise. It just should have been a trilogy. It's all it should have been. And then it got to S tier for me. So that's why it's S tier for me, though. It's my second favorite Indiana Jones film. Finally closed out this franchise in a very great way. And I'm happy to say I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than most people, though. Then we got The Creator. And I gotta definitely give The Creator an S tier also. Now, I've always liked sci-fi, but now I have really gone a bit more into sci-fi, exploring the alien films, and I've gone Star Trek recently, and I think this movie definitely was the foundation for me really getting into sci-fi this year, because I just found it great. I found this world building very great. I thought the CGI spectacle was just stunning, and at some parts it could be funny, and at some parts it was very emotional. And I just found it to be a really good done movie all around. Getting in S tier for me, I definitely recommend it. Then we got Gran Turismo, which is S tier. It's actually the top of S tier, though. And why I think Gran Turismo is an S tier? This movie was just a really inspiring movie to me. And not only was it inspiring, but it was just a great film all out. Greatly made. There's good action scenes with the cars. Well, they weren't actually action scenes, they were racing scenes. But the car racing still looks cool nonetheless. And then we got good performances, and the movie could even be funny at times. And just all around, great film. Only made into some of my favorite films, actually my top 5 favorite films. And I thought it was a great movie. I still always think, is this the best movie of the year, or is The Flash the best movie of the year? We'll never know, I guess, for me. Then we got Migration. This is actually our first B tier movie. Now, I enjoyed Migration. I thought for it to be a fun family film with a fun premise. Birds migrating, and not only birds migrating, but getting to really sticky situations along the way. So I call that a pretty fun premise. And I see what it is. It's a family fun adventure that definitely doesn't try too hard, but it does have good animation, and it exceeds at what it's trying to do. Be a family fun adventure. And I enjoyed it because of that. I don't think it's that great. I do see flaws there. There was a little too much filler in the trailer. The first half an hour was just pretty much the whole trailer, just longer. But it was still good. It was fun. I think it's deserving of B tier. And then we got Trolls Band Together, and I got it as a B tier. I think Trolls Band Together is probably a B tier. Definitely one of the better animated movies of the year. I think Migration's actually a bit better, though. And I thought Trolls Band Together was a big improvement over Trolls and Trolls World Tour, whereas those had a lot of singing. This one had a lot of singing, but incorporated it into its premise better, and just took everything that actually worked about the first, and keeping that without some of the things that didn't work. Not amazing, still flawed, but B tier for me. And I thought it was a fun movie. Then I got the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Super Mario Bros. Movie for me is an S tier. I'm actually gonna put it right behind Gran Turismo. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is actually my favorite animated movie. And the first time I saw it, I did not have a good fear experience. And really ruined what I thought of the movie. Then I saw it a second time and I realized, hey, it's a good movie. Then I saw it a third and a fourth time, but this time in no special formats. And this movie was outstanding in just standard form, and I just absolutely loved it. I ended up loving it, and it's just one of those really rewatchable movies. I'm actually thinking about watching it a fifth time. And if I want to rewatch it that much, it's gotta be my favorite animated film, and it's definitely gotta be S tier. And then we got Wish, our first D tier movie. I'm not gonna call Wish outright an abomination. I actually think it's an abomination, but I think there were way worse movies that came out this year, and I don't think it's so bad that it's outright deserving of an F tier. I see what it's going for. It is for its target audience who likes musicals, and I don't like musicals, so that definitely took down my enjoyment of this film way more. But I see what it's doing for its target audience, and my problem with it though is it way too sticks to its target audience. But I guess for its target audience it's good, so I'm not gonna outright put an F tier. Then we got the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now actually I watched this pretty recently when it came onto streaming, and I never actually watched this movie in the movie theater, but I did watch it on streaming, and it did come out in 2023. So, it still qualifies, and I did not expect to love this movie as much as I did. I'm giving it an S tier. This movie was outstanding to me. You watch the trailers and you think it's gonna be, well, Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm someone who's never played the Five Nights at Freddy's game. So, I have no experience with this. I have no biasness because I'm some big fan of the series. But when I watched the movie, I was very pleased. It has a great story at its core with this guy and his little sister who he has to take care of. And then around it, as the side story, we got the animatronics practically. So it really just gave for a great movie all around. And I was very surprised about this movie. And I thought it was a great movie. Just a great movie all around. Then we got Haunting in Venice, and it's another S tier for me. Now, I actually, in a way, can't decide if I like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie more or Haunting in Venice more, so I'm just going to put it right behind Five Nights at Freddy's because they're both about tied for me. And once again, I did not see this movie in the movie theater, so I did see it though on streaming, and the movie did release in 2023, so it still qualifies. Now, and once again, I did not expect to enjoy this movie to the extent I did, and this movie just ended up all around being a really good movie. Great detective story, and definitely great scenery and cinematography, where every location in this movie definitely looked very great. And as a detective story, it's just great. Now, I did think the culprit was a bit predictable, but I enjoyed my time with this movie, and definitely give an S tier. Then we got Across the Spider-Verse. Oh man, I've talked about this movie a lot, but C tier. I think it's better than Oppenheimer, but C tier. And this movie has a good story. It actually really does have a good story. A great Spider-Man story, too. And I love the character of Spider-Gwen. But the movie gives people seizures who don't even experience seizures. Now, I didn't actually experience a seizure from this movie, but it just makes you really all around Disney. There's so dizzy. There's so much flashing lights and stuff, and there's no need for all of that. The animation, the first one, was already great. They didn't need to go this far. And I also really like the Miles Morales character, so I hate not putting it any higher, but it's just there. In my opinion, it's the worst of the Spider-Man films. But I see why some people love it. Then we got Ant-Man the Wasp Quantum Mania. And for me, this is actually my favorite of the 3 Ant-Man films. And I just really loved Kang the Conqueror being introduced as a villain. I know now the guy who played him has been fired, but I still liked the introduction of this villain. I thought it was a very intimidating villain, and it's the Ant-Man adventure, and I thought it was my favorite. I could have just loved seeing it in the movie theater, but still, definitely great. I gotta definitely probably give it I gotta give it an S tier. Question is, where in the S tier do I go? I'll say maybe above. I think above the creator is suitable. I think that's suitable. And then we got Shazam! Fury of the Gods. F tier. This is definitely an F tier for me. In my opinion, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is actually the worst movie ever made. Because Barbie and Hunger Games, they messed me up. But I had no hype for those movies. So, I mean, I kind of give it a bit of a pass. But Shazam! Fury of the Gods, I loved the first Shazam. I had hype surrounding this movie. What did I get? Terrible movie that I wish I'd never seen. But apparently a lot of people agree with me. Most people really don't like this movie. And I have to agree. This movie was absolutely terrible. And we got John Wick Chapter 4. And I saw this by Vudu and stuff. The renting service Vudu by Fandango. And for those of you who don't know what Vudu is what I just said. The renting service by Fandango. And you can just rent movies digitally, and you can buy them. In my case, I bought it, not rented it. And what did I get? My favorite action movie. So, it's definitely S tier. This is definitely my favorite action movie. Just non-stop action from beginning to end. And one of the most perfect endings to a movie that I've ever seen. Because he's back. It might not be coming back. I hope they do not make a John Wick Chapter 5. It would ruin this movie. Then we got Dungeons and Dragons. I'm gonna give this movie a B tier. I thought it was fun enough, but I did not think this was some outstanding movie. But I thought it was a really fun movie that I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't call it one of my favorites, but it was fun enough. And I really enjoyed it, actually. And definitely didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but this is an all-around really fun film. And we got Air. This is an A tier movie for me. I think it's below Killers of the Flower Moon. Definitely better than Chicken Run, Dog. Well, actually, if Dungeons and Dragons is in B tier, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget is in A tier. I think Dungeons and Dragons is actually better than Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. Scratch that. Dungeons and Dragons is an A-tier movie. And it's above Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. But Air is between Killers of the Flower Moon and Dungeons and Dragons. And I think Killers of the Flower Moon is just better because it did have Brendan Fraser for a little, and he is my favorite actor. So definitely great. And then so now to talk about Air. I thought this was an inspiring movie about how the people below can get to the top with just the right amount of effort. And great performances all around with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. And Ben Affleck actually directed the movie and starred in some scenes. So, hey. I thought it was a great film all around. And then we got Renfield. For those of you who do not know what Renfield is a comedy movie, horror/comedy. Mostly a comedy though, where Nicolas Cage plays Dracula. And what do I have to say about that? A-tier. Not only A-tier, but top of A-tier. And wait, what the? Why did I just put an A tier? Nah, scratch that. Renfield is S tier. Now, why is Renfield S tier? Well, it's probably S tier for me because it is my second favorite comedy of all time. My favorite comedy is The Mask, and my second favorite comedy is Renfield. So, I was thinking as a movie, A tier. As my enjoyment of the movie, S tier. So Renfield's actually S tier for me, and it just is a really fun ride of over-the-top Nicolas Cage as Dracula. And what do I have to say about that? That's a really fun movie. So, definitely my second favorite comedy, and one of my favorite movies all around. Really fun movie. And I definitely enjoyed this movie all around. And I think you should watch it. And I got Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I'm gonna give it a D tier. I think it's actually better than Wish. And I'm not gonna give Are You There, Margaret. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Not Are You There, Margaret. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I'm not gonna give it an F tier just because I see its purpose. It's a coming of age story, and I see its purpose. I just didn't like it that much, and I definitely don't see why it has a has a $30 million budget. Like I said, I could take this Chromebook that I'm using right now, walk around my house, and make a movie that has the same quality, and probably better. I just can't hire Kathy Bates, but hey, the movie can not have Kathy Bates. So yeah. So I just didn't think the movie was all around that great. Then we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is just Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but they call it Volume 3 just to throw you back to when you got retro volumes and stuff. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is an S tier for me. Definitely, probably third in S tier, and this is just a really rewatchable film. I never get bored of rewatching this film. And this is actually my favorite of all three of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and what they did with this one is they made a really emotional, heartfelt movie, and a really fun movie with lots of cool action scenes. So, what do I say? Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is a really good film, and definitely S tier. And I got Fast X, another S tier film, and I don't really know where to put it. I'm gonna say above the Mario movie and behind Guardians of the Galaxy. Either way, it is S tier and just a pure adrenaline rush. By the way, Fast X is short for Fast and Furious 10. And Fast and Furious 10, or Fast X, however you want to call it, it's just a pure adrenaline rush all around. And this movie made Vin Diesel my 4th favorite actor. I mean, that says a lot. And then Jason Momoa just gives it his all and just really zany performance. It's a crazy performance, but he does pretty well doing it. And just the action with the cars, that cliffhanger ending, really gets me excited for Fast and Furious 11, whatever they're going to call it, probably just Fast and Furious 11. And definitely S tier. Then we got The Little Mermaid. This is the 2023 Little Mermaid, not the classic Little Mermaid. And this is definitely F tier. Now, I think that I will watch this over Shazam 2. Wait, no, I will not watch that over Shazam 2. No, I will not watch that over Shazam 2. This Shazam 2 really disappointed me, so I almost said that. But I will watch it over Hunger Games and Barbie. I will definitely watch it over those two. We'll actually watch Shazam over The Little Mermaid. And The Little Mermaid is just, I don't want to get into some things I have with it, but just really demolishes everything that was good about the original Little Mermaid. Just makes it all bad. And I did not enjoy my time with this movie. And we got Transformers Rise of the Beast. This is another S tier movie. Gonna probably put it for me above Fast X. And what I love about this film... Wait, I'm actually going to put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Transformers Rise of the Beast above John Wick Chapter 4. But what I love about Transformers Rise of the Beast is it just is Transformers battling other Transformers. And it's just action scene after action scene. There's some comedic bits in there. All around, just a really fun movie. And great one at that too. Pete Davidson is definitely great as Mirage, and definitely is really funny as Mirage, and gives a lot of comedic moments as Mirage. Keep saying the word Mirage. I should probably stop saying Mirage. But I'm actually a big fan of Pete Davidson myself, so I thought he did great as that. And I can't decide if I like Transformers Dark of the Moon better or Transformers Rise of the Beast. Either way, I know I love this movie. Then we got The Flash. And I'm going to put that in S tier. I can't decide what's better, Gran Turismo or The Flash. But The Flash is really fun, so I'll probably put it at the top. The Flash and Gran Turismo, though, for me, are pretty much tied. So, what I love about this film is, one, Michael Keaton, I think, was the best Batman. And I get to see Michael Keaton again as Batman. And in a world with a whole lot of multiverse stories, this takes multiverse stories, but to a personal level. This multiverse story is to a personal level of Barry Allen, aka The Flash, trying to go back in time and just stop this whole chain of events. And it's just a really great movie, really fun movie, with lots of action scenes. I don't know why people hate the CGI. I thought the CGI actually looked really great. And that's Tim Burton for you, though. He has a very distinct vision. And definitely just a great movie all around that I loved. Probably my favorite movie of 2023, or Gran Turismo. Like I said, can't decide yet. Then we got Elemental. For me, Elemental is D tier. I'll probably watch it over Margaret and Wish. And it's just a really bland, forgettable movie that I really see no purpose for this movie's existence besides to make Pixar and Disney a lot of money. And Pixar and Disney already have a lot of money. So I don't really see much need for this movie. But it's just a really bland, forgettable movie. And not my favorite, earning a D tier for me. Then we got Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. I'm going to give it a C tier. I will probably watch Across the Spider-Verse over it. And I'll watch that, though, over Oppenheimer. And it's nothing really that special, Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. But it's fun enough. But, like I said, not really the best, and nothing really I can say about this movie that is just completely outstanding. And then we got Mission Impossible 7 or Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and S tier for me. I think I'll put it over John Wick Chapter 4. And this movie was just great. That one Tom Cruise stunt was really amazing and dangerous. I do not know how Tom Cruise pulled that off, but that's Tom Cruise for you, doing death-defying stunts. And it looked awesome on screen, though, and definitely was great. And the movie is just great. Definitely another adrenaline rush. And definitely my favorite of the Mission Impossible films. Now, the only ones I have stand out are the first, second, and this one. But out of those three, I definitely think this is the best one. And then I got The Haunted Mansion. Now, this is a D tier movie for me. I think I'll watch it over these movies, and I don't really want to put it in F tier, so I'm not going to put it in F tier, but it's overall just really bland and forgettable. There are some funny bits and some good moments that save it from an F tier, but it just feels like one advertisement. And why does this movie have so many product placements? Why is it trying to advertise so much? Disney, like I said, is rich enough. Don't make so many product placements. Please, just don't. So, I didn't really find much I loved about it. I thought those were really out of place, but I'll put it at the top of D tier. And then I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And I'm going to give this an A tier. For me, this is actually the top of A tier. And I gotta be honest, I really enjoyed it. Now, if you watch my review on it, I was not the most energetic about this movie. I didn't really love it, but I did see it a second time and I really came around on it. I thought it was just a really fun movie. Not my favorite of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, but probably top 3. And it's really fun as a movie, and I think they did the best they could as an animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. They definitely adapted with the times for this movie. What I mean with adapted to the times was teenagers nowadays are saying Riz and all of that stuff. So for them to incorporate the word Riz is definitely to adapt to its public audience. And I think it did a good job at that because it's trying to be the new Ninja Turtles adventure for the people of today, for its target audience, the people of today and stuff, and does a great job at that. And I found it to be a really fun adventure. Now we got the Meg to the Trench. This is an unpopular opinion, but the Meg to the Trench was a good movie. Now I'm going to put it in A tier, and I'm going to sadly say this. I put it at the top of A tier. And I am not saying this is a better movie than Killers of the Flower Moon. This is definitely not a better movie than Killers of the Flower Moon. There's no way this is a better movie than Killers of the Flower Moon. But I really enjoyed it. It became one of my favorite movies, period. And I'm not going to put it in S tier, but it's obviously not a movie that is really like amazing, groundbreaking, and just great. But I put it in A tier because it is one of my favorite films and I enjoyed it. Like I said, not an S tier because it's not something outstanding or great. But for me, A tier as it is one of my new favorite films. Then we got Jules. And Jules is an indie film that not a lot of people have been talking about, but it's just a really good movie. And I'm going to put it in A tier. I don't really know where to put it in A tier, so I'm just going to put it at the back of A tier. But it's just a really good film. And as an indie film, it's really well done. And I definitely recommend you check this out if you ever don't know a movie to check out. And then we got Blue Beetle. Now, I'm going to put this in A tier. I'll probably put it in third place in A tier. And I don't call it an S tier because it is just a one-time fun watch. I am not eager to watch it multiple times, and I think rewatchability is definitely a factor to take into consideration when you're tier ranking these movies. But Blue Beetle's just... it's Blue Beetle. It's a one-time fun watch that I enjoyed, and I definitely really like the character of Blue Beetle. So I think this is great as the first live-action adaptation of Blue Beetle. And we got Retribution. I'm going to put Retribution in D tier. I'm actually going to put it at the... I'm going to put it in third of D tier. I would probably watch it for Margaret and Wish, but the only thing that doesn't take it away from F tier is some of it is a bit interesting. I'm not necessarily bored by the movie, but it's definitely a very bland, forgettable film. It's the first thing I've ever seen with Liam Neeson, and man, is he a bad actor. So, if you see my review on it, you'd see how I was pretty positive on this film, but I was just kind of like, yeah, it was good for what it was when I saw it. Not really that good, though. And then we got My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. It's a D tier, I guess. And I will probably watch it over Retribution. At least it's not as forgettable as Retribution. And the only reason why I'm not putting My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 in F tier is because I see who it's targeting as the audience. And I guess for people who like these films, I think they'll enjoy it. I just did not enjoy it. So I'm just going to take that factor into consideration, and I think I will give it a D tier. And then we got Dumb Money. And I gotta be honest, S tier. I did not expect to enjoy Dumb Money as much as I did. And at first I was like, maybe this is the A tier, but no, this is actually an S tier, as it was a very intriguing film. I was actually entertained in a sense with this film, and performances are just great, and it had Pete Davidson, and I like Pete Davidson. So, and especially the guy who played the main character, Paul Dano. I'd say he's in consideration for an Oscar. I think this movie could win an Oscar. This movie was just great. S tier. And we got The Retirement Plan. We're also giving this an S tier. And what I love about, and this is definitely one of my new favorite action movies, and I just found it to be really good. Nicolas Cage gives it his own. This is actually the movie that really started making me appreciate Nicolas Cage as the actor he is. He is very over the top when he's performing, but this does give him more of a believable performance as an actual believable person. And this just really made me turn around on what I thought of Nicolas Cage. And really great action film. It's an indie film. Please watch this. You'll be giving yourself a treat. And then we got Expendables 4. Now, I am way more positive on this movie than most people are. Way more positive. So, I'm not going to call it an A tier. I don't think it's A tier. I think it's a B tier, and I'm going to put it at the top of B tier. And what I love about this film is that I just really find it to be a fun film in general that I really enjoy. And what I love about this film is that it's just fun. It's just a fun film that I really enjoy. I think the action scenes, yes, they're way over the top. But I really love Jason Statham. And I think Jason Statham is really awesome. So, I think he was great in this film. I think this was great as a dumb, stupid, cheesy action film. And I enjoyed it. And I think it does have its flaws. But I think you should still watch it, and I still enjoyed it. We got Freelance. This is an F tier movie. I will probably watch it over most of these movies. I will watch Shazam! Fear of the Gods, though, over that movie. And then it's just a really terrible movie. The camera was all over the place. And just so bad you can't even put it in words. It literally got on the list of worst movies ever made. It is one of the worst movies ever made. Then we got The Marvels. I'm gonna give it a B tier. I'm gonna put it at the top of the B tier. Now, it's a flawed film. See why most people didn't like it. I found it to be fun enough. And I don't really want to rewatch it multiple times, so I'm not gonna say it's anything too extraordinary. So I can't put it over at the top. Or anything at S tier, but it was fun enough. Then I got Champions. Gonna give this an A tier. I don't know where an A tier to put it, but it's definitely my favorite comedy movie of the year. And why it's my favorite comedy movie of the year? It's probably the only comedy movie this year that was actually truly funny. And Woody Harrelson is definitely great in this film. And I definitely enjoyed it. I think you should watch it. And then we got About My Father. I'm gonna give it a C tier. It's pretty bland and forgettable. Really everything funny about this movie was all they've shown in the trailers. So there's nothing really about this movie that's that great to experience when you're actually watching the movie. But C tier. And then we got Tiger 3. This is a big Bollywood film that they put $3 billion into. Why is this movie $3 billion? This looks like your average American-made film with $200 million into it. So how's $3 billion good for this? I don't know. I'm gonna give it a D tier. I didn't really find it all that special. Probably watch it over all of these movies. But I also put it in D tier because, like, I guess for this type of culture, this is probably a really amazing, outstanding film. It's not for me. And then I got Psycho Pass Province. This is one of the anime films that have come out this year. and I'm gonna give it an A tier. Don't know where an A tier to put it, so I'm just gonna put it at the back. And I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a really fun. I mean, not fun. This is not fun, but this is a really interesting, cool sci-fi anime film. And as an anime movie, it was great. So I just loved it, and I thought it was really good as an anime film, and it had a great story. Then we got Romley Castle in the Mirror. I don't know where to put this actually, so I'm just gonna put it at the back of C tier. I think that it was like actually good movie. It was just a bit depressing in a way, so I don't know where to put it, but C tier. And there you go. These are all of the 2023 movies I've seen put into a tier ranking. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notifications bell so you never miss a video. Without further ado, Super Movie Ninjas, ow!